What's going on, moviegoers? If you're new to the channel, my name is Christian. Welcome to SeaWorld Productions. You guys, I saw The Flash yesterday at a fan screening. I'm going to give you guys my spoiler-free review, and then we're going to talk spoilers towards the end of this video. If you guys haven't seen The Flash, please, I will notify you when we will dive deep into some of the spoilers, because I don't want to spoil anything for the people who haven't seen it, because it is something you want to experience without having anything spoiled, especially the cameos. Oh, I geeked out so much. But we're not talking about that right now. What did I think about The Flash? The controversial film, The Flash, has had so many obstacles with its main star, Ezra Miller, who was at the red carpet premiere yesterday in Hollywood. This film had so many problems in pre-production, switching directors, and the final director of the movie, Andy Muschietti, did a wonderful job. So what did I think about this film? Was I satisfied? Where does it sit in the DCEU? Was this the greatest DC movie that some people are claiming that it is? I'll be honest with you guys. I had a great time with this, but this wasn't the best DC film. I enjoyed it. I will go see it again. I will probably go see it again. I really had a good time with this movie from start to finish. Yeah, I had my certain problems with the film, but overall, the negatives never outweighed the positives. It never did. I wanna start off by saying, I know Ezra Miller's in a lot of heat, a lot of trouble or whatever, but him playing both Barry Allens, he was phenomenal. He was good. His raw emotions when he needed to get emotional, when certain scenes were serious, he was phenomenal. He was really good in this particular role. And now I see what Andy Muschietti was saying of how you can't replace Ezra Miller in this particular role, because I don't think you can. He was really that good in this movie. I was so impressed, because prior to this film, I didn't care for Ezra Miller as the Flash, like at all. But this film, I was like, okay, I can definitely get behind this character. Now it leads me to the big question of, well, where do we go from here? Do you continue on with Ezra Miller with this whole multiverse story? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? Do you recast? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ezra Miller's future in this particular role. But boy, oh boy, you guys, from the action scenes, the score, some of the visual effects were really good and some of it was really bad, which was surprising to me, because I was like, this film has been in post-production for how long? And some of the visual effects shots just didn't necessarily land with me, you know? And, you know, you have the dual personalities, you have the dual characters of two particular Barry Allens. And in certain scenes, one Barry Allen that you can clearly see that was Ezra Miller playing him, and the other version was the body double of, you know, them doing the CGI face. And you can tell in certain shots with the eyes, it was just very distracting at certain scenes. But boy, oh boy, like when the Flash hit the scene for the first time and he was doing his thing, his superhero gig, he was absolutely phenomenal. Like really good. I was so impressed with the action sequences in this movie. I mean, they really blew me away. I was like, this is literally ripped right out of from the comic books. It was stunning, visually just beautiful. I was like, this is it. The Speed Force and everything was top tier. I was super impressed with that aspect of it. Michael Keaton's Batman. I think Michael Keaton's Batman returning in this particular movie has now solidified in my eyes of being the greatest live action Batman we've ever seen. Outdoing Val Kilmer, outdoing Christian Bale, outdoing Ben Affleck's Batman. I mean, he was great. And there's this like, I had this discussion with my friend yesterday. Like, you can see Matt Reeves' Batman, right? Very generic Batman, very similar to Christopher Nolan's Batman's universe, the grounded more in the reality based. What we got to see Michael Keaton do in this movie that we couldn't see in the 80s was amazing. The fighting sequences with Michael Keaton's Batman, he was whipping ass, gliding, just doing his thing. That was top tier Batman. That's the action I want to see with Batman, kind of like we got with Ben Affleck's Batman in BVS. Like, that's top tier. You know, and I can't help but think like, man, Robert Pattinson's Batman is just so clunky and slow, just like Christian Bale's Batman. Like, and I get it; it's in the grounded reality of what Batman can be if Batman was real. But that's not particularly, you know, that's not my style of Batman that I like. It's not. It's really not. And I'm not knocking Matt Reeves and his Batman universe, because, you know, the Batman was still extraordinary, and I can't wait to see the sequel. But it's missing that. And what Michael Keaton's Batman was able to accomplish in this film, action-wise, was good. Just seeing, you know, Wayne Manor again, and it was so awesome. And the little Easter eggs within, you know, Wayne Manor, it was just spot on. And Michael Keaton's just such a natural when he has to turn on his Batman mode. He was such a natural just being Bruce Wayne with the long hair, retired, and saying Gotham doesn't need me anymore. Gotham's a safe place. And I was like, oh, damn, I love it. He was so awesome. Supergirl, you guys, was cool, you know, but I do think that this film could have benefited a lot more if Henry Cavill's Superman was in this role instead of Supergirl. Because can you imagine, like, the last film Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are in is this particular Flash movie, and it was a love letter and a goodbye for these characters? It would have been so much better in my eyes. But I still enjoyed Supergirl. She was dope. She was very powerful, and when she had to get down with Zod, you guys, we gotta talk about Zod in this particular third act. Zod was a very interesting character. You know, he was his character from Man of Steel. But Michael Shannon had a couple of interesting quotes saying, you know, it was just talking about his return as Zod in this particular movie in the multiverse. He said it wasn't satisfying. And I get why, because it looks like this character was just there for a filler. You know, can you come and be this movie? Can you be Zod? Sure, whatever. Motion capture suit, green screen. This is it. You know what I mean? It was very, very different from what Zod was in Man of Steel. Zod in Man of Steel had so much more to do and was so much more important. You know what I mean? And this film didn't really do Zod justice. You know, they could have simply replaced Zod with a different villain, and I could have been completely fine with that. You know what I mean? Could have been Darkseid going out the, you know, the mother boxes or whatever. That would have been crazy cool. But yeah, dude, like I said, this film definitely has its highs. And when it's at its high, it is extremely high, you guys. It was extraordinary, especially the emotion of the film that they were able to capture, and Barry really trying to save his mother, going back in time. It was so good, and I just felt it. I felt it. A lot of plot holes. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that they didn't really talk about who killed Barry's mom. Like, you can go back in time, but you can't find out who killed your mom. Like, that was one of the plot holes that was killing me. I was like, what? So what's going on here? Why can't you go and save your mother? You know, why? I know you're trying to do this whole, you know, this has to be here at a certain time, and, you know, that this is how we can change it. But why not try to find out who actually killed your mom? Because that was interesting to me. I mean, please, if you guys know who killed Barry's mom, it could have possibly have been like the Reverse Flash or something like that. Could have been interesting. But the main villain of the story, which he necessarily wasn't in the film a lot, and he showed up here and there, and then at the end of the third act was Dark Flash. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. I like the character design or whatever, without diving deep to any, you know, spoiler territory. But, you know, I thought, you know, the Dark Flash, he served a purpose for this particular movie. He did. It's so hard to talk about this movie without talking spoilers, you know what I mean? And we're dealing with the multiverse. So I guess we can kind of talk spoilers now. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen, you know, the film, please, you guys, we got spoilers. Let's talk spoilers. So Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman does show up in this film for a brief second to help Bruce. That was cool. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Just seeing Wonder Woman back again, I was like, okay, that was dope. Or even just seeing Wonder Woman, the Flash, and Batman all interacting in the scene, that was dope. I was like, man, I'm getting Justice League vibe. And it's like, and that's exactly what I want. Cameos. Let's talk cameos, man. I mean, when the multiverse was really going out, and, you know, worlds were colliding, that shit was crazy. To see Adam West's Batman, to see Christopher Reeve's Superman and Supergirl. Oh my, I geeked out so hard, because that's, you know, my first beloved character of any comic book genre was Christopher Reeve's Superman. I mean, those Richard Donner films are extremely important to me. And boy, oh boy, it was dope. We got to see Nicolas Cage as Superman as well. I was like, no, they did it. The canceled Tim Burton Superman film with Nicolas Cage. I was geeking out because it was so cool. Never in my life would I have thought we would see something like that. That was extraordinary and complete fan service, and I loved it. I was geeking so hard, you guys. That was phenomenal. Phenomenal. The ending of the movie, we got to talk about it. So Barry legit, he fixes the outcome of his father's trial, right? Because at the beginning of the movie, there was video footage of his father at a grocery store, but they couldn't have the concrete detail of that being his dad because his dad never looked up at the camera. So Barry tweaked a few things yet again. Shh, hey, quiet. He tweaked a few things, and he made sure that his dad looked up at the camera to make sure his dad was innocent at the time his mother was murdered. End of the film happens. Bruce is calling him. He's outside of the court, whatever, and, the car pulls up. Everybody's like, oh, shit, it's going to be Ben Affleck's Batman. To me, it sounded like Michael Keaton's Batman. So I was like, oh, shit, what's going on here? And it was George Clooney as Batman, as Bruce Wayne. I was like, what? It left such a bad taste in my mouth because I was like, look, I get that this is a multiverse film, but George Clooney is not beloved as Batman. Nobody likes it. Yeah, Batman and Robin is a guilty pleasure of a film, but George Clooney as Batman, ew, yuck, ew, no. I was like, this is not doing for me, you guys. I was so unpleased. I was like, no. I just left this movie with a bad taste in my mouth. And even the post-credit scene of Aquaman and Barry going out for drinks and Aquaman's drunk, it was a useless, pointless post-credit scene. Cut it, if you guys can avoid it, just don't. It's stupid. It's nothing. But yeah, man, more spoilers. I really like the idea of, them going back in time and having Michael Keaton's Batman and, Supergirl. And there was particular time and moment where in the third act, they couldn't do anything to legit save both of these characters. The other Barry, was going back in time again and again to see what he could do. And, the main timeline Barry was like, look, we can't do this right now. Like, it's not happening. This is not meant to be. They have to die in order for everything to align. And that was just so crazy because I was like, oh man, they killed off Michael Keaton's Batman, dude. That shit was sad. That was heartbreaking because, Michael Keaton's Batman is the GOAT, And to see Supergirl killed off like that by Zod, like she didn't even stand a chance to defeat Zod. I was like, damn. I was like, at least Henry Cavill Superman put in some work. But, it was just a mismatch, I guess, But, you can say that her being in captivity the entire time, with her and, with her being stuck in Russia, right? I don't know how long she was, in captivity. So she was super weak, super unexperienced. But when Zod legit confirmed that he killed Kal-El, you know what I mean? Because Kar-Zor-El and Kal-El both left Krypton at the same time. Zod caught up to Kal-El's ship, right? Thinking that the Codex was in his body, but it wasn't. It was in, Supergirl's body. And he ended up killing infant Kal-El. Hey, shh. Hey, can I finish this? So he ended up killing, infant Kal-El. I was like, damn, that's crazy. I was like, that's insane. That was hard. That was deep. I was like, Zod, you were cruel. You were evil. But that was such a turning point for me because I was like, oh, okay, Zod is definitely an asshole. Zod has got to go, But man, you guys, this film definitely was a good time. I had such an extraordinary fun time with this movie. Like I said, the negatives they never really outweighed the positives. There was so much more positive about this movie. Like I said, the visual effects could have been much more better than what the final product was. Hey, shh. Thank you. They could have been much more better, especially since this film has been in post-production for quite some time. But I definitely rate it an 8 out of a 10. Was it the best DCU movie? Not for me, in my opinion, because I still love Man of Steel. You know what I mean? I love the Suicide Squad. I love Peacemaker. But The Flash was definitely worth a watch and worth multiple watches, in my opinion. And I'm excited to see what the future has for this particular character. I'm excited to see what James Gunn has in store for the future of his DC world and what this can establish. There's so many different elements that they can come and do, especially when you're dealing with the multiverse storyline. It is so complex, the narratives of it all. It's going to be interesting to see what really happens. It's going to be bonkers, you guys. Absolutely bonkers. Did I miss anything from start to finish? No, I don't think I did. We talked about Batman. We talked about Supergirl. We talked about Ben Affleck's Batman having a brief cameo appearance. He solidified his role. He did his thing. Wonder Woman, the cameos, post-credit scenes, everything was top tier. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought about The Flash. If you have seen it, and if you haven't, when do you plan on watching this movie? Trust me, you guys, it's something you don't want to miss. So post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.